Look, I have been a security officer on the Galactic Trade Station Helix 9 for approximately 14 rotations now, and I thought I had seen everything. Smugglers hiding contraband in their digestive sacs. Check. Pirates attempting to breach airlocks with nothing but determination and stupidity. Double check. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day a human decided to adopt a dying Vrakan cub in the middle of my carefully organized cargo bay. My name is Torvik, by the way. I am a Quanfi, which means I have 4 eyes, excellent peripheral vision, and the distinct evolutionary advantage of being able to spot trouble before it spots me. Except apparently when that trouble comes in the form of a 5'6" biped named Mira Kane, who somehow managed to sneak past 3 security checkpoints carrying something that technically qualified as a weapon under 17 different galactic codes. The Vrakan cub, to be specific. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Vrakans, let me paint you a picture. Imagine the apex predator from your worst nightmare. Give it scales that can deflect plasma rounds, claws that can slice through reinforced steel, and a jaw structure that makes great white sharks look like goldfish. Then shrink it down to the size of a large dog and give it big, golden eyes that still somehow promise death. That is a Vrakan cub. Adorable? If your definition of adorable includes can remove your arm in one bite. And there was Mira Kane, crouched in the corner of Bay 7, cradling this thing like it was a kitten. Step away from the predator, human, I said, trying to sound authoritative while all 4 of my eyes were tracking the blood trail leading from the ventilation shaft. Great, just great. Now I had a biohazard situation on top of an illegal wildlife incident. Mira looked up at me and I swear to the stars she had the audacity to smile. Hey there, officer. Funny story about this little guy. I do not want to hear your funny story, I replied, already reaching for my communicator. I want you to release that creature immediately so I can call animal control before it wakes up and decides we all look delicious. The human had the nerve to laugh. Actually laugh. Animal control? Are you kidding me? Look at him. He's barely breathing. I activated my scanner, keeping a safe distance. The readings made 2 of my eyes widen. The cub was indeed in critical condition. Severe lacerations across the torso, signs of plasma burns, and internal bleeding that would kill it within the next standard hour. Probably less. It is already dead, I said, perhaps more harshly than intended. Vrakans have been hunted to near extinction in this sector. Poachers likely injured it and left it when it became too much trouble. The humane thing would be to let it pass peacefully. Mira's expression changed. That smile vanished, replaced by something that made my secondary hearts skip a beat. Humans have this look, you see. Other species talk about it in hushed tones in the station bars. The look, the one that says they have decided something, and the universe itself would need to file a formal complaint to change their mind. No, she said simply. Excuse me? I said no. She stood up, and I noticed she was already covered in the cub's blood, dark purple stains across her jacket, her pants, even smeared on her face. We heal or we do not leave. I blinked. All 4 eyes. That is not, you cannot just decide that. Watch me. The human tore off her left sleeve, just ripped it right off her jacket with one smooth motion. Then she tore it into strips with her teeth. Her teeth, as if this situation was not insane enough. What are you doing? I demanded, though part of me already knew, that same part that had read the human cultural files after they joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. The part that had dismissed most of it as exaggeration and propaganda. Making bandages, Mira replied, as if it was the most obvious thing in the universe. She began wrapping the cub's wounds with surprising efficiency. Pressure here, here and here. Need to slow the bleeding first. You are going to get yourself killed. Probably. That creature will wake up and its first instinct will be to attack. Maybe. I cannot allow this. She paused, looked up at me with those strange binocular eyes humans have, and said, then stop me. Challenge issued. Challenge absolutely not accepted. Thank you very much. I had not survived 14 rotations on this station by getting between humans and their terrible ideas. I sighed. A sound that came out as a sort of whistle through my breathing slits. Fine, but when that thing wakes up hungry, I am not responsible for what happens next. Fair enough. She went back to work, her hands moving with practiced precision. Got any medical supplies on this station that might actually help? Or is your whole security setup just fancy scanners and stern warnings? We have a medical bay on level 3, I said, already regretting every decision that led me to this moment. But they will not treat a Vraken. It is against protocol. Dangerous predator species are supposed to be humanely euthanized, not nursed back to health in the middle of a civilian trade station. Mira snorted. Euthanized. Right, because that worked out so well for Earth's tigers and wolves. She looked down at the cub, which had started making a low rattling sound. Come on, little guy, stay with me. You do not get to die in a cargo bay. That is just embarrassing for both of us. It cannot understand you. Maybe not. But I understand me, and that is enough. The cub's breathing was getting shallower. I watched its scales, usually vibrant even in youth, turning a sickly grey color. Death was coming, and it was coming fast. Any rational being would walk away, cut their losses, accept the inevitable. Humans, I was learning, were not rational. Mira suddenly stood up. All right, new plan. If medical will not help, I need to get to my ship. I have an emergency medical kit there, military grade. Should have something that can stabilize him until we figure out the rest. Your ship is in docking bay 12. That is 7 levels up and half a kilometer away. The cub will be dead before you make it halfway. Then I better run fast. She started gathering the cub in her arms, grunting with the effort. Vraken cubs might be small by their species standards, but they still weighed close to 40 kilograms. You coming, officer? Or are you going to stand there doing your best statue impression? This is insane. Yeah, well, insanity is kind of humanity's thing. We have a whole history of it. Now move. And that is how I found myself sprinting through the corridors of Helix 9 with a human carrying a dying predator, both of us leaving a trail of purple blood that my maintenance crew was definitely going to complain about later. Other species jumped out of our way, their confusion evident. A Trelavianian trader nearly dropped an entire crate of quantum processors. The Philarian family huddled against the wall, their antennae quivering in alarm. Coming through, Mira shouted. Medical emergency. Sort of. This is going on your permanent record, I wheezed, struggling to keep up. Humans might not be the fastest species in the galaxy, but they have this thing called adrenaline that apparently turns them into unstoppable freight trains when properly motivated. Added to the list, she called back. We reached the elevator shaft. Naturally, it was occupied. A group of Peltharian merchants were having what appeared to be a very important discussion about textile imports. They took one look at us, at the blood-soaked human holding a predator cub, at me in full security uniform clearly having some kind of breakdown, and wisely decided their meeting could happen elsewhere. Thank you, gentlemen, Mira said cheerfully as she stepped inside. The elevator ride took approximately 30 seconds. It felt like 30 years. The cub's breathing had become almost non-existent. Its eyes, those massive golden eyes, had started to glaze over. I had seen death enough times to recognize its approach. Come on, Mira whispered, her voice dropping to something softer. Do not give up. I did not carry your heavy butt all this way for you to quit on me now. You hear me? Do not quit. The elevator doors opened. Docking Bay 12 was a madhouse, as always. Ships coming and going, cargo being loaded, traders arguing about prices and schedules. We ran through it all, Mira somehow navigating the chaos while carrying 40 kilograms of dying predator. Her ship was a small hauler, nothing fancy, the kind of vessel independent traders used for short-range runs. She slapped her hand against the access panel, and the cargo door hissed open. Inside, she ordered, and I followed because at this point what else was I going to do? The interior was surprisingly clean, organized even. She laid the cub down on a medical platform that folded out from the wall. Her hands flew over the controls, pulling out supplies I did not even know existed in civilian kits. "Hold him still," she instructed. "Are you certain about this?" "No, but that has never stopped me before." She pulled out an injector loaded with something bright blue. "This is a universal coagulant, works on most carbon-based species. Probably. Probably? Science is not an exact thing, Torvik. Now hold him still." I pressed my hands against the cub's shoulders. Its scales felt cold. Wrong. Death was here, in this ship, waiting. Mira injected the coagulant directly into 3 different wounds. Then she grabbed a scanner, something far more advanced than my security model, and ran it over the cub's body. Her face went pale, well, paler than usual. Internal bleeding in at least 4 places. Broken ribs. Plasma burn that went deep. Damn. Whoever did this really wanted him dead. He is going to die. Not if I have anything to say about it. She was already pulling out more supplies, her movements becoming almost mechanical, focused. Field surgery was part of my training. Did 3 tours on colony defense. Saw things that would make your eyes bleed. This is nothing. This is everything, I shouted, surprising myself with the volume. You are risking your life for a creature that could kill you the moment it wakes up. For what? Pride? Some misguided human sense of moral superiority? Mira stopped, looked at me, really looked at me. "Because someone has to," she said quietly. "Because every species deserves a chance. Because this cub did not ask to be hunted, did not ask to be left bleeding in a ventilation shaft, did not ask for any of this. And because if I walk away now, if I let him die when I could try to save him, then what does that make me? Practical. Dead inside." She went back to work. Injections, bandages, some kind of energy field that stabilized cellular structure. I watched, unable to do anything else, as this human fought death itself with nothing but determination and supplies that probably cost more than my annual salary. Minutes passed. The cub's breathing stabilized. Barely, but it was something. "There," Mira said finally, sitting back. She was covered in blood, sweat, and what I really hoped was just hydraulic fluid from one of her medical tools. "That is the best I can do for now. The rest is up to him. What happens when he wakes up? Then we find out if I am incredibly brave or incredibly stupid." "I vote stupid." She laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah, probably. We sat there in silence, watching the small predator breathe. Its scales were slowly regaining some color, a faint purple-black that shimmered under the ship's lights. "Why do humans do this?" I asked. "Why do you always have to be the ones to fight for lost causes?" Mira shrugged. "Maybe because we have been the lost cause before. When humanity was alone in the universe, struggling just to survive, we learned something important. You fight for every life. Every single one. Because the moment you stop caring, the moment you decide some lives matter less than others, that is when you lose something you can never get back. Your humanity." "Exactly." The cub stirred. Just slightly. A tiny movement of its clawed foot. Mira smiled. "Welcome back, little guy. You and I are going to have a very interesting conversation about gratitude when you are feeling better." I looked at this human, this absolutely insane member of a species that had only been part of the galactic community for 5 years, and realized something terrifying. The universe had no idea what it was in for. Human beings, it seemed, did not do anything halfway. Not exploration, not friendship, and certainly not rescue missions for dying predator cubs in cargo bays. "We heal or we do not leave." Those words were going to haunt me. But as I watched the cub's breathing grow steadier, watched Mira's exhausted but triumphant expression, I thought maybe, just maybe, being haunted was not the worst thing that could happen. So here is the thing about saving the life of a predator species that could theoretically rip through hull plating. Nobody tells you about the paperwork. Approximately 6 hours after Mira Kane decided to play hero, I was sitting in my office drowning in incident reports, health and safety violations, and what my supervisor cheerfully called a diplomatic nightmare of unprecedented proportions. The Vrakan Preservation Council had been notified. The station medical board wanted answers. and somehow through channels I still did not understand, the entire situation had made it to the Galactic Council's subcommittee on human behavior. Apparently humans doing absurdly dangerous things to save other species was becoming a pattern. You let her take a Vrakan cub onto a civilian vessel, my supervisor, Commander Thalis, said for the 17th time. He was a Mordran, which meant he had tentacles instead of arms and a really annoying habit of stating the obvious. A Vrakan cub, Torvik, do you understand what happens if that thing wakes up hostile? She gets eaten, and I file another report, I suggested. 3 of his tentacles twitched in irritation. This is not funny. I am aware. I was there. I watched a human female who probably weighs 50 kilograms soaking wet, carry a dying predator through 7 levels of this station while shouting at it to stay alive. Trust me, Commander, I know exactly how not funny this situation is. Thalis made a gurgling sound that might have been a sigh. Where is she now? Still in her ship. She refuses to leave until the cub stabilizes. It has been 6 hours. And the cub's condition? I checked my data pad. Mira had been sending me updates every 30 minutes, complete with medical readings and what she called encouraging signs. The last message included a grainy photo of the cub, with its eyes half open and the caption, "Look who decided to keep living." Stubborn little monster. Stable, I reported. Unconscious, but stable. The human administered enough medication to knock out something 3 times the cub's size. She's taking 0 chances with it waking up violent. Smart. Surprisingly smart for someone who pulled a stunt this reckless. Thalis leaned back in his chair, tentacles spreading in what I had learned to recognize as deep contemplation. The council wants to speak with her. They want to understand the human decision-making process that led to this incident. Good luck with that. I have been trying to understand human decision-making for 5 years, and I am pretty sure it is just controlled chaos held together by caffeine and spite. Nevertheless, bring her to conference room 3, 1 hour. And Torvik, make sure she leaves the predator secured in her ship. We cannot have it wandering the station. I nodded and headed back to docking bay 12, wondering if this job was worth the salary. Spoiler alert, it was not. When I arrived, Mira's cargo door was open, and I could hear her talking to someone, or something. "Yeah, I know you are hungry," she was saying, "but you are on a liquid diet until those internal injuries heal. No arguments. I do not care how intimidating you think those growls are." I stepped inside to find the most absurd scene I had witnessed yet, and considering the day I was having, that was saying something. The Vrakan cub was awake. Fully awake. Sitting on the medical platform with its massive golden eyes fixed on Mira Kane, who was holding what appeared to be a feeding tube connected to a bag of nutrient paste. "You are alive," I said, because my brain had apparently given up on forming complex sentences. "Disappointed?" Mira asked, without looking away from the cub. "Terrified. That thing could attack at any moment. His name is Stryker. You named it. Him. And yes, seemed rude not to." She managed to get the feeding tube near the cub's mouth. Stryker apparently decided this was acceptable and began drinking the nutrient paste. "See? Perfect gentleman. Much better behaved than half the traders on this station." I watched in disbelief as this apex predator, this creature engineered by evolution to be a perfect killing machine, calmly accepted food from a human's hand like some kind of oversized pet. How? I managed. Patience. And the understanding that he is scared, hurt, and probably has never seen a human before. Mira smiled as Stryker finished the nutrient bag. "We are not in his threat database. I am just the weird alien who stopped the bleeding. The weird alien who could be dinner. Always a possibility. But look at him, Torvik. Really look." I did. 4 eyes focusing on the cub from different angles, and I saw what she meant. Stryker was not looking at Mira like prey. There was no predatory calculation in those golden eyes. Instead there was something else, something that looked uncomfortably like trust. "This is going to cause so many problems," I muttered. Story of my life. Mira disconnected the feeding tube and scratched behind what might have been Stryker's ear. The cub made a sound somewhere between a purr and a rumble. But he is alive and that is what matters. Everything else we can figure out. The council wants to see you. 1 hour. Conference room 3. Official inquiry? More like official panic. Nobody knows what to do when humans start adopting endangered predators. She laughed. Tell them I will be there. But Stryker stays with me until I know he is fully healed. Non-negotiable. You cannot bring a Rakan to a council meeting. Watch me. 1 hour later, I was proven both right and wrong. Mira did not bring Stryker to the council meeting. Instead, she jury-rigged some kind of monitoring system that let her watch him from her datapad while 5 different council representatives tried to understand what possessed her to do what she did. Miss Kane, began Representative Fulcor, a Vesperan with far too many credentials and not nearly enough patience. Do you understand the gravity of your actions? Vrakans are a protected species under Galactic Code 773. Unauthorized interaction carries severe penalties. I am aware, Mira replied calmly. I am also aware that leaving a dying cub to bleed out in a cargo bay is a violation of about 12 different ethical guidelines. So we can argue about codes all day, or you can accept that I did what needed to be done. You put yourself and others at risk. I calculated the risk. Decided it was worth it. That is sort of humanity's whole thing. Another representative, a Quellan named Vortis, leaned forward. We are trying to understand your species, Miss Kane. These incidents, humans risking themselves for other species, it is becoming a pattern. Just last month, 3 humans on Outpost Gamma stopped a plasma fire by manually sealing breach points. The month before that, a human colony ship diverted to rescue a Thanarian vessel, despite being low on supplies. Your people seem to have a concerning disregard for self-preservation. Mira considered this. We prefer to think of it as an encouraging regard for everyone else's preservation. That is not how survival works. Maybe not for you. The room went quiet. I watched from my position by the door as Mira stared down 5 council representatives, without flinching. Humans, I was learning, did not intimidate easily. Finally, Fulcor spoke again. What do you intend to do with the Vrakan cub? Heal him, get him strong, then figure out where he belongs. Rakans are pack hunters. That cub needs to be returned to its kind. Great idea. Except his kind are nearly extinct in this sector, hunted to maybe 24 individuals scattered across half the galaxy. You have any brilliant plans for finding his family? Because I am all ears. Vortis made a clicking sound. The Vrakan Preservation Council has facilities. They could take custody. Facilities. Mira's voice went flat. You mean cages? You mean taking a living, breathing creature and locking it away for study, for preservation, like it is a museum piece, instead of a life? It is practical. It is giving up. She stood, her chair scraping against the floor. Look, I get it. You all have your protocols and procedures, your ways of handling things that keep the galaxy running smooth. But sometimes, just sometimes, the practical solution is the wrong one. That cub fought to stay alive. He earned better than a cage. And you think you can provide better? Fulcor asked. A single human with no training in Vrakan care, no understanding of their psychology, no resources for long-term management. No, but I can try. And trying counts for something. Representative Thessa, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. She was a Minatharian, a species known for their philosophical approach to conflict. The human concept of trying. We have studied your history, Miss Kane. Your species tried to fly before you understood aerodynamics, tried to reach space before you had proper shielding, tried to cure diseases before you understood cellular biology. Trying, as you put it, has killed millions of your kind, and saved billions more. Mira met Thessa's gaze. Every advancement humanity ever made started with someone trying something impossible, someone looking at the universe and saying, "Not today, universe, today we do better. Today we save the life everyone else wrote off. Today we reach for something higher." Pretty words. True words. You want to know why we risk ourselves for other species? Because we remember being alone. We remember when humanity was one planet, one people, staring at the stars and wondering if anything out there would ever care about us. Now we are out here, And you better believe we care. About all of it. All of you. The room was silent. I watched the representative exchange glances, some kind of wordless communication happening that I was not privy to. Finally, Falcor spoke. The cub remains in your custody temporarily, but there will be conditions. Regular medical checkups, behavioral assessments, and if, at any point, the creature becomes a danger to yourself or others, it will be transferred to proper facilities immediately. Understood? Mira nodded. Understood. You are dismissed. We left the conference room together. Mira checked her datapad immediately, a small smile crossing her face. Stryker is sleeping. Good, he needs rest. You actually did it, I said, still processing. You argued with the council and won. Won is a strong word, more like negotiated a temporary ceasefire. But I will take it. She started walking toward the docking bay. Come on, I want to check his bandages before the next feeding. I am not your assistant. No, but you are curious, and you helped. Whether you want to admit it or not, you helped save that cub's life. She was right. I hated that she was right. Back in the ship, Stryker was curled on the medical platform, his breathing deep and even. The scales along his spine had regained their color, a beautiful purple-black that shimmered with each breath. His wounds, while still serious, were noticeably better than they had been hours ago. Bracken healing factor is impressive, Mira said softly, running her scanner over him. With proper care, he will be fully recovered in maybe 2 weeks. Then the real challenge begins. What real challenge? Teaching him that not all beings are threats. That the universe, despite evidence to the contrary, can be kind. She looked at me. You know what happened to him, right? The scans showed plasma burns consistent with hunting weapons. Someone tried to kill him for sport, for a trophy. He is what? 6 months old? Maybe 7? Just a baby, and someone decided his life was worth less than a wall decoration. Poaching is illegal. Lots of things are illegal. Does not stop them from happening. She pulled up a chair, settled in next to Stryker, but he survived. Against every odd, every logical probability, he survived. And now he gets a second chance. I found myself sitting, as well, watching this strange pair, human and predator, savior and saved. It should not work. By every rational measure, this situation was unsustainable and dangerous. But Stryker's chest rose and fell peacefully, and Mira's expression held something I rarely saw in the galaxy anymore. Hope. What happens next? I asked. Next? Next we take it one day at a time. Feed him. Heal him. Teach him that not everything in the universe wants him dead. Maybe, if we are really lucky, find others of his kind who can take him in. Give him a real family. And if you cannot, she smiled, then I guess he is stuck with me. Worse fates, probably. You cannot keep a Vrocken as a pet. Who said anything about a pet? He is a partner, a survivor, just like me. She glanced at her datapad as an alert chimed. Feeding time again. You staying, or do you have more paperwork to file about how irresponsible I am? Both? Definitely both. But I stayed. Watched as Mira fed Stryker again. Watched as the cub accepted nourishment from this strange alien who refused to let him die. And I thought about Representative Vortis's question. Why did humans keep risking themselves for other species? The answer was here in this ship. In a human woman, sitting beside a predator that should kill her. In the gentle way she checked his wounds. In the soft words she spoke to comfort a creature that could not understand her language, but seemed to understand her intent. Humans risked themselves because they believed something the rest of the galaxy had forgotten or never learned. They believed that every life mattered, that every being, no matter how dangerous or different, deserved a chance. We heal or we do not leave. It was not just about the cub, it was a philosophy. A way of existing in a universe that often valued efficiency over compassion, protocol over mercy. And as I watched Stryker fall back asleep, his head resting against Mira's leg in what could only be described as contentment, I realized something that would have seemed impossible 12 hours ago. Maybe humanity had it right. Maybe trying was enough. Hey, Torvik, Mira said quietly. Thanks. For not stopping me. For helping. Even when you thought it was stupid. It was stupid. Yeah, but it worked. This time. Every time counts. I left her there, returned to my office, and the mountain of paperwork waiting for me. But before I started on the incident reports and violation notices, I added one final note to the file. Species, human. Individual, Mira Kane. Classification, dangerously compassionate. Recommendation, keep under observation, not because of the risk she poses to others, but because of what her example might teach the rest of us. The galaxy was not ready for humanity. But maybe, just maybe, we needed them anyway. Somewhere in Docking Bay 12, a human sat with a healing predator, and the universe became a little bit better for it.